The Westies were a mostly Irish-American gang that number in or around a dozen members who ruled over Manhattan's Hell's Kitchen neighborhood and large parts of the West Side as well. Many in the gang were constantly drugged up and occasionally played Russian roulette for $1,000 a bullet. In one 18-year period, the Westies, or never referred to themselves as the Westies or acknowledged that was their name, murdered an estimated 60 to 100 people. The Westies sold and ran narcotics, extortion, loan sharking, and labor racketeering scams. They also were kidnappers, specializing in kidnapping made members of the mob. In several instances they collected the ransom but then killed the victim anyway. Jimmy Coonan kidnapped and murdered a mob loan shark named Ruby Stein. Coonan owed Stein $70,000, and other Westies were into Stein for similar amounts. It was just easier to kill him than pay him. When they killed the loan shark, the Westies stumbled on his loan book that detailed every person that owned Stein money, how much money they owed, their address and phone numbers. The Westies took over the loans. Paul Castellano, who had recently replaced Carlo Gambino as head of the family, decided to overlook Stein's murder. Even though Stein paid the Gambinos for protection, Gambino welcomed the Westies into his family. The Westies denied even knowing who Stein was. Gambino saw the real value of Westies, their disdain for mob gossip and politics, and their seeming joy over murdering someone. Gambino used them in a number of rackets and for a number of hits. Patty Dugan, a long-standing member of the gang, took to shaking down mob-associated loan sharks and continued the practice after the Westies entered into an alignment with the Gambinos, who warned the gang to get Dugan under control. Dugan was warned, but he kept at it anyway. Westies leader Jimmy Coonan, an old and close friend of Dugan's, murdered him and then sliced apart the body for easy disposal. Coonan kept the severed fingers, which he added to a bag full of the fingers of other victims. The gang took Dugan's severed head to a bar they frequented and plopped the severed head on the bar and toasted his memory. By the early 1980s, the partnership with the Gambinos had many of the Westies were very rich. At one point, they infiltrated the union representing personnel working on the USS Intrepid, the aircraft carrier museum anchored in the Hudson River. The gangsters almost drove the ship into bankruptcy by skimming the ticket receipts and the padding of payroll with no-show jobs. The Westies also dominated certain backstage unions at Broadway theaters and were said to be a partial cause of rising ticket prices. Coonan framed the gang's second-in-command, Mickey Featherstone, for murder. Featherstone was convicted and then decided to turn informer. The evidence that Featherstone provided put virtually the entire gang in prison. Jimmy Coonan got 75 years. By the 1990s, the Westies were no more.